Test. Konbanwa minasan kyo wa Suyobi Senjo des. And this is Paolo. Hello, we are in a new episode of Wednesday Warzone, and it's the second week of May, and we actually have a lot of people at the office. They're being quiet, good. Yeah. No energy. Okay, low energy. All right. No. You told us no. That was then. This is now. Yes. No, you shut up. Okay. Today in Wednesday Warzone, we will talk about new features coming up in the game, and I just opened up a menu. There's arcade, survival, and horde. We're adding to the single player menu. Actually, they were available in our custom game menu already, like the game mode, elimination, duel, and survival, horde. We actually had the survival and duel and elimination already in the custom game, like I said. But now we decided to pull out survival and put it in along with horde and arcade in the single player menu. Horde is, of course, the new feature I was teasing when I posted the new single player feature earlier, and we're excited to show you all this. It'll come out next week. At the end of this week, we'll have the second batch of our balance changes, which include new changes to weapons we didn't touch in the first balance change, and some changes to weapons we did touch. Okay, so in Horde mode, you fight a series of enemies that are weaker than normal Archangels, but there are more of them. They come in squads, they just drop in from the ceiling, and then you're able to kill them in one blow. In my case, I'm just using the Dominus, so they're all one hit. But as you can see, the enemies here in Horde mode, they just really have numbers. They're not like individual fights that are long, and because the enemy has a lot of life and can deal a lot of damage and fight for longer. So they're just here to fulfill your anime fantasies of fighting off hordes of enemy mechs. So I'm just showing off what it looks like. How it'll work. There are actually 50 waves. Every 5 waves, you will recover health if you beat the boss. And the waves you encounter are actually randomized. But, for example, if you fight the 6th wave, it'll be harder than it'll have a higher difficulty than the previous 5 waves. So although the mechs you'll fight, it'll be like arcade, but rather than individual mechs, it's squads and like how they look like, what equipment they'll use, but they increase in difficulty as you go along. And we hope you guys enjoy it. I'm just showing off how the game would look. So it's more single player, like I said, more than multiplayer experience. We actually added it in custom game. We're gonna add it next week, and you'll be able to play this in local co-op. And it'll take some time before it hits online, but for now, for your single player experience, that's Horde Mode. So as you can see, I already cleared 9 waves while I was describing it. And we actually discussed this in Discord, and we showed this off in earlier versions, earlier Wednesday Warzones. And we actually want to have, in the future, community content like design of grunts and waves. Because we're planning on making these waves more thematic, like they'll have their own story theme, equipments based on the theme. And for now, what we've decided is we built around a semi corporate theme, because not all the corporations have complete weapon parts, for example. So like I think this wave is all, oh, it isn't. There's Tatzelworm. This was supposedly all Eagle products. So double emancipators. Oh, this one knows how to fight. Okay, it's dead. So yeah, that's the future of the game. Right now we have the fashion fight, and we were hoping we'd have the grunt category, but then that was like a spur of the moment genius idea we weren't able to implement. So I hope you guys are still submitting to the fashion fight anyway, despite not having the grunt category. We might have another contest in the future specifically for Horde Mode to add enemies for this mode. But for now, fashion frame will add a new preset, and like I said, Steam keys are, you can win Steam keys. You can have your own mech in the game, your own Archangel in the game, and your lore will become canon with some filtering on my end. So that's it. Actually, I would like to show off some of the submissions we had. We already have quite a bit of submissions from all over the world. One of the submissions actually comes from our Japanese players. Oh, I died. Oh no. Okay, on the 15th wave too. One of the submissions for our Friday fight, our fashion fight, we had a lot of submissions. One of them was from our Japanese players, and it's really submissions from all over the world. I'm really touched everyone could submit and join the fashion fight. That means we really have players all over the world, and you also see this online. Sometimes you'll encounter like the usual players like Kiko Pro, Gilver, and Arudex. They like to post videos on YouTube too. And then the usual Discord regulars, and we're already a community of people all over the world. If I remember correctly, Kiko Pro is here in the Philippines, if I remember correctly, and Gilver is in America, and they just fight almost every night. I'm surprised. I checked the Discord chat, and they're there. The next thing, the updates to look forward to this Friday involve mechanics changes for specific weapons. I'll skim over some of them. Like, we recently nerfed the scythe form of the Blue Triter, and I actually added a buff for the scythe form because of the reduced step distance. It's actually a small buff. Most of the changes here and there are they're pretty small. You'll have to really care about the weapon, I guess, to notice them. The base stab damage of all the directional attacks have been increased to cope with the reduced distance. So Now you have this for movement, and the scythe for stab damage. Hold on, how is he dodging? He is overloaded. That guy. Okay. It's not really a good indicator. Ooh. Okay. Time to use my other weapon. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting that commentary off screen. Okay, while I'm doing this and hopefully not losing. No, I got bodied. Okay. Anyways, so it's minor buffs like that. The base damage, stab damage of the scythe directionals are now like 300. All of them are now 300 uniformly, except for the neutral. And there are other weapons. Like, we finally gave the MB a damage buff. I hope Vol's happy. I know one other dev's happy. We decided to make it match more the other melee weapons. So the base armor damage of the forward is now 400. The side attacks have also been increased. They now deal a little more damage. So now it's a sure 500, I guess, because this one's at 105% damage bonus. So there are small buffs here and there for those weapons. Another weapon we've buffed is the Halo Shield, but only a little. So the Halo Shield now deals 250 stab damage and 50 more base armor damage, because the Scytech has always been dealing 200. So that's another buff. So are there any questions, Theo, while I'm going over these? None? No questions just yet? Alright, next would be the missiles have a slight damage buff. I guess we'll just have the full list on Friday. We'll just have the full list on Friday with all these small changes. But that's the second half of our balancing. We also have we are also experimenting with changing. I guess we'll discuss it here. We're also experimenting with a new change to the knockdown mechanic, because there was a discussion recently about how burst works with our current mechanics and how it influences the game. We're actually exploring removing the burst mechanic. So in this build, we're actually experimenting with the new knockdown mechanic, knockdown state. So in the old knockdown state, you waited and then you had invulnerability when you stood up. Now we made it so that you have to hold down a direction before the white flash appears in order to have a safe wake up, like so. So I have lingering iframes there. That's the old wake up, but you can choose to stay down and continue being invulnerable. Like, I won't wake up, but I can press a direction anytime to stand up. But after the white flash, if I choose to do that maneuver, I'm actually vulnerable to attack. So the difference between the white flash and the staying down is, after the white flash, standing up is a vulnerability. Before the white flash, standing up is safe. But you might want to stay down longer if the enemy is like bombarding you with missiles, because you want to just stay iframed. Unlike if you stood up, you'll have lingering iframes, but if you decide to do an action, your iframes are lost. So that's one of our first that's one of our first ideas for changing the down system. At this point, it's still experimental. It's still a little experimental, because we do have other ideas with the burst that we're not just yet able to show in this build. Like, one of the ideas for burst is we make it a wall that destroys all projectiles. Like, all projectiles that enter the burst area just suddenly explode or disappear. And one of the ideas bouncing around is that the burst will deal damage, like armor damage, and then it'll allow you to go on the offensive. So it's like a wake-up attack rather than just a burst knockback attack. But it'll also have a bunch of penalties, like if you burst and miss, you're unable. You're treated as if you had parried, or you got stunned, guard broken, so you can't dodge cancel out and you can be punished. But your wake up burst will deal armor damage. We're still bouncing around the exact values, and will also for sure reduce your enemy to the stab threshold, and on top of that destroy all the projectiles. But we're still exploring that idea. I'm actually exploring also the idea of being vulnerable while you're down. After the white flash, you're vulnerable. But for now, this is the most I guess this is the most non-radical change for the downstate we can pull off so far. We just need more testing. So you can expect this change on Friday. This basic change, which is basically we remove burst, and it's either you wake up early and safe, or you stay down, but your wake up from then on is either a dodge cancel or just a vulnerable stand. So that's it. So have there been any questions ever since then? Still none. Okay. I think that's it. I discussed everything for this Wednesday Warzone. So this Friday, no, not yet. Survival won't be available yet this Friday, but it's scheduled for this month. We scheduled it originally for next week. Horde Mode will also be a single player release next week. For this Friday, we'll have this new downstate system and the weapon changes, the many minor balance changes for the weapons. Oh, darn! I just remembered. Okay, this is one of the bigger changes, balance changes we did. I almost forgot about it. Okay, who has the Dragoon? Okay, I'll just make one. Whatever, I'll make one. Okay, Dragoon, double Dragoons, just so we can see some stuff. Okay, for the Dragoon, we've been hearing a lot of people discussing that it's a pretty underwhelming shotgun, and we've decided to remove the cooldown, and we hope you guys enjoy this new change, although it remains to be seen how this will affect the meta. So you can now do this. And my worry about this personally is it's too safe. There's no downside to just shooting it off. The only downside, I guess, is there's limited ammo. So it's not really like the SMG in that you can just fire until you're out. The only control you have is over your own ammo count. So that's I think one of the bigger changes. I hope people will now consider the Dragoon more, now that it can be fired really quickly compared to the Emancipator, which is still slow. Like it, not slow startup. It will fire a huge damaging shot, but then you'll be there in the middle of an animation unless you cancel out, just like the burst rifle. We also, actually, speaking of the burst rifle, we've decided to slightly increase the burst rifle's stab damage per bullet. It might not be a big enough change, but we feel like the 10 base stab damage right now is too low that it becomes a problem for stun lock, and it's not very useful if the enemy is not below threshold. So by making it 25 per shot, it's a little more manageable. So there's less stun lock. But right now it's still doing what the burst rifle does. So you'll see it in combat when the stabilities are fluctuating as attacks are being traded. But you won't get stuck in stun lock for as long because you'll most likely be knocked down this time around. So that's it. That's one of the very minor changes. And I think with that, with all the discussion on the balance changes for this Friday, no, it's this Friday. The update's this Friday. Yeah.
Friday?
Clarify again what's coming this Friday.
Okay, this Friday, I showed off the Horde mode, but that's not coming this Friday, sadly. It's coming next week. But we just wanted to show you guys what Horde mode's all about. We just got excited, basically. What's coming this Friday is the new knockdown state. We're just testing things out. If there's enough feedback, we might just change up how burst works. But that's basically our proposed change for now on the downstate, which is remove burst and then just change up when the safe wake up is. It's either early or you can wait there as long as you want, and then it's up to you when you stand up. And all these minor changes which I showed off with the weapons, which it's basically balance change part 2. The first half of the balance change was last week. So that's what to expect this Friday. Okay, what? Whoa, we have a question while this was happening. Okay.
How long do you intend to? How long is, let's say, an average fight with a 1v1 with all-rounders?
With all-rounders?
Yeah.
How long is the intended? We were hoping less than a minute. So 120 seconds.
No,
No, less than 2 minutes. What am I saying? Okay. Oh, bad. Oh no, terrible. 120 seconds, less than 2 minutes, hopefully. That was our intended that's our intended time.
seconds is exactly 2 minutes.
Yeah. 2 minutes then. Okay. So yeah, 2 minutes, 120 seconds. Even in our tournaments, our fights averaged around 2 minutes, 120 seconds. New weapons will come at the end of the month. We're sorry we're not showing off, but one of them is definitely going to be the Mugen Sakura. Next Wednesday Warzone, we'll try to show off the Mugen Sakura and the other hand weapon we're about to release. Okay, and that's it for all the weapons and all the questions and all the reveals for this Friday. The biggest reveal, I guess, this Friday is the new knockdown mechanics, which is removing burst entirely. So I hope you guys will adjust or give us your feedback regarding that new system. And I think that's all. So this is Wednesday Warzone, and this is Paolore. Thank you from the Indigo Entertainment team and the Garrison Archangel team. Thank you from everyone here at Indigo Entertainment is what I meant. So thank you, everyone. And that's it. Good night. Sara, bye-bye. Shut up! I'm still recording.